Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're digging into the global renewable energy transition. You probably heard the headlines, the climate emergency stuff, but we want to go a bit deeper beyond that narrative. We're aiming to unpack these sort of pure, quantifiable advantages, those five core benefits, and crucially, what specific financial backing is really needed to make it happen. Okay, let's unpack this.
Right. And I think we have to start with just how big the problem is because, well, that really frames the solution, doesn't it? The sources we looked at are pretty clear. Energy generation, it's right at the heart of the climate challenge. The vast majority, almost all greenhouse gases, they come directly from burning fossil fuels, for power and for heat. And here's the urgent bit, the context.
Yeah?
2023 was a tough landmark year. For the first time, the power sector officially became the largest single source of global emissions. So to head off the worst outcomes, the consensus is, well, it's clear we absolutely must slash emissions by half by 2030 and then get to net zero by 2050. The scale of change needed is just monumental.
Wow. Okay, hearing that the power sector is now the single biggest emitter. Hitting those 2030 goals, that sounds almost impossible, doesn't it? Is there a specific data point, something in the sources that offers like a real lever of hope? Where do we even begin with that kind of cut?
Well, yeah, the sources immediately point to something already happening, the rapid shift in investment. Look, the goal is huge, no doubt, but the momentum, it's already building. Think about this. Between 2015 and 2024, renewable energy sources, solar, wind, hydro, they grew by 140%.
140%.
Yeah. Now compare that to fossil fuels in the same period, only 16% growth. So the market is kind of already picking the winner. We just need policy to really accelerate it.
And that acceleration, that leads us right into the first major benefit you mentioned.
Yeah.
It often gets framed politically, but you're saying it's fundamentally economic, energy independence.
Exactly. It's about vulnerability. Think about it. Roughly 80% of the world's population, they live in countries that have to import fossil fuels.
80%.
And that makes their economies really vulnerable to, global price swings. Geopolitical issues somewhere else can just instantly jack up energy prices everywhere. That leads to inflation, economic shocks. It's a major instability factor.
So if 80% of the world is sort of held captive by these fluctuating oil and gas prices, then renewables are the great equalizer. Because, the sun shines everywhere, the wind blows everywhere, right?
Precisely. That's the key. Renewable energy sources are available locally in pretty much every single country. They provide predictable, inexhaustible resources right at home. It's genuinely the fastest route for nations to buffer their economies. And this isn't just like a theory. IRENA, that's the International Renewable Energy Agency, they project that a staggering 90% of the world's electricity could come from renewables.
90%.
By 2050, yeah.
90%. That sounds amazing. But, okay, what do the sources say about the usual worries? Grid reliability or needing tons of materials for panels and batteries. Does getting to 90% depend on some, miracle technology we don't have yet? Or is this actually doable with what we've got now?
That's a fair question. The sources are actually quite optimistic, but grounded in, current tech pathways. They emphasize that grid reliability, well, that's managed through advanced smart grids, much better energy storage, and improved transmission infrastructure. Hitting that 90% goal, it really relies heavily on just rapidly scaling up what we already know works. It's mostly an investment challenge, an implementation challenge, not really a fundamental tech hurdle anymore. And the side benefit, all that infrastructure build out, it's projected to stabilize economies and, yes, create millions of jobs, less poverty too.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Because we have to tackle that old myth, the one that always comes up. Green energy is just too expensive. But the source material we reviewed says, point blank, that in most regions today, renewables are simply the most affordable source of power. Full stop.
Yeah, the speed of that cost drop has been just breathtaking, honestly. Let's look at the specifics. Prices for solar energy, they've plummeted, down by 41%.
Just 41%.
And wind energy prices, down 53%. What that actually means on the ground is that over 90 of all new renewable power projects now cost less than building and running a new fossil fuel plant. The economic argument, it's already won.
And that amazing price collapse that's already pulling in demand, even from the really power-hungry sectors. I saw a fascinating bit in our sources about AI data centers. Those things are energy hogs.
Yes, that's a perfect illustration of how affordability changes behavior. An AI data center, right, can use as much electricity as 100,000 homes. Their massive expansion, you'd think it would cause immense strain. But because renewable costs have just fallen so far, even these super intensive users are projecting they can run on 100% renewable energy by 2030.
Because it just makes business sense now.
Exactly. It simply makes good business sense. But we do need to be careful. We shouldn't equate this momentum with, like, total victory yet. While clean energy investment did hit $2 trillion in 2024, and that is $800 billion more than fossil fuels got.
It's a big number, $2 trillion.
It is. But the whole financial system